It has been a sunny and unseasonably warm day across central Oregon with no precipitation in sight and winds only getting a little breezy at times. Hey everyone, I'm Darrell Winninger, the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and as we go forward through the next several days, even hotter temperatures are expected. By this weekend, some additional clouds, but not much in the way of precipitation. As temperatures continue to heat up, we're not seeing an influx of moisture until we get to this weekend, so that means critically dry conditions are in the forecast as well. But let's do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Looking around the high desert, there's not much to see in these cameras other than the gorgeous views across central Oregon. And when we just focus on what's been happening, it is sunny, it is unseasonably warm, or near and above average, I should say. The average high temperature is mid 80s, and we're reaching into the mid to upper 80s through the next couple of days. Now, high pressure is expanded over the Pacific Northwest, and it will be a little hotter before we get our next cooling trend. Highs in the 80s with some 90s, and those critically dry conditions I was talking about, mostly because of the lack of precipitation. The best chance of rain holds off until we get to Monday and Tuesday. Even that's not going to be a good chance of precipitation. So when we focus in on satellite and radar, there's a couple things we're seeing and several things we're not. Number one, we do not see much at all in the way of cloud cover across the entire state. Even when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you have to look way outside of the Pacific Northwest before you start to see precipitation. Some of that over southern Canada. Other spots include Nevada, Utah, and Wyoming. So pretty far away from central Oregon, and all of this is because of that broad ridge of high pressure. We're going to backtrack one graphic and look once again at enhanced infrared imagery, satellite imagery, because we were just looking at a blend of infrared and visible with radar thrown on top of that. But with this given setup that we have across the Pacific Northwest, it is a little more interesting when you focus just on the infrared imagery that pulls out those taller clouds. So you could actually see where there is some thunderstorm activity over southern Canada, north of Montana, as well as through the Dakotas and getting into Wyoming and Montana. That's the closest thunderstorm activity to us. Meanwhile, for central Oregon, we barely have any cloud cover across the state. Little bit once you get over to east of Pendleton, north of Baker City. But one thing we are continuing to track is this broad ridge of high pressure way out over the Pacific Ocean. And this high is going to be the dominant driving force of our weather pattern through the next several days. By the time we get to Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I should say, this high starts to flatten a little bit. That means weekend. That allows some cloud cover to come into the high desert, but it's still going to be extremely dry, even with the potential of a little tap of monsoonal moisture. We're just not looking at much that's going to give us everything we need, even for showers, much less thunderstorm activity. Meanwhile, with the same graphic, you see those white lines? Those are isobars, lines of constant pressure, or equal lines of pressure, depending on how you want it worded. Now, when these are stacked up closely to each other, such as between the coastline of Oregon getting up to the Cascades, that's where it's a little bit breezy, and those stronger winds are increasing across the high desert here through the rest of this afternoon. By this evening, they start to calm down. It's really not going to be too windy. I just wanted to point that out. Now, when it comes to our forecast model, this high-resolution forecast model, it doesn't show much at all in the way of cloud cover. Even by tomorrow afternoon, just some additional clouds. Then, moving forward to Saturday, each day brings a little extra cloud cover, but each day also stays incredibly dry with hotter temperatures expected. So far today, temperatures have topped out in the mid to upper 80s with a few 90s. And going forward through the next couple of days, it gets a little hotter before that starts to turn right back around. And as of this moment, as of this afternoon, just before 3 o'clock, we're running between 1 degree cooler and 5 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. Actual temperatures sitting in the 80s with 92 in Warm Springs and 79. What I showed you before, that was highs so far. So they're not too far off from where our current temperatures are actually sitting. But look at this relative humidity measured in percentages. Critically dry. We have teens and single digits for most of central Oregon. And our surface fuels have been drying a lot through the last couple of days. We haven't had much measurable rainfall at all. When you add in the critically dry conditions with very dry surface fuels, winds getting breezy at times, all of these are checking off the boxes that we need to have that elevated fire danger, and this isn't over yet. Tonight it gets mild. Temperatures fall back into the 50s with some 40s out there. And by tomorrow, mid to upper 80s with a few 90s. Look at this next graphic. This is the UV intensity forecast. Now, there are going to be some additional clouds Sunday, even more on Monday. Still keeping it dry, but that additional cloud cover each day is going to bring the UV intensity down into a moderate range by the beginning of next week. But it's still going to be high through the rest of this afternoon, through Friday, and through Saturday. Tons of sunshine is expected. Now, temperatures are still going to be topping out in the 80s, but really there's not much at all in the way of precipitation because of this broad ridge of high pressure. Fast forward to Sunday, notice how that high is no longer centered over the Pacific Ocean, the eastern Pacific, or the coastline. It's actually shifted further inland, and once that starts to flatten, once that starts to weaken, that low that's over the northern Pacific Ocean and Gulf of Alaska starts to come into play across central Oregon. Between now and then, though, we do not see much in the way of change for temperatures. The average high temperature for today is 86. We're going to be hovering around that during the next couple of days. Then Sunday, 89. By Monday and Tuesday, lower 90s. And by Tuesday, we catch our next chance of showers. Remember, with the high-resolution forecast model, it didn't go far enough in the future to really get to Tuesday. This one, I don't even think this one does. We have to wait until we get to the long-range forecast model. But stay with me, because your forecast model actually shows very little in the way of cloud cover through tonight. By tomorrow afternoon. This one actually pushed that cloud cover a little further to the east from the high-resolution forecast model we were looking at earlier. And then by Friday afternoon, not much at all across the entire state when it comes to precipitation. By Saturday, a little bit more cloud cover, still bone dry on the high desert. And by Sunday, we get more cloud cover. By Monday, notice there were a few specks of green. I don't even think all that's going to reach the ground, if it happens at all. By Tuesday will be our best chance of rain. So let's go to the GFS. This is the long-range forecast model. It actually goes out a couple of weeks. We're only going to look at the next 7 days. And so this one shows no clouds through Friday, no clouds through Saturday until the evening, and then by Sunday, more clouds. By Monday, more clouds, no rain. And by Tuesday, a few showers possible. That was it. Tuesday's over. We can open this up and look at it a little bit closer if you'd like. Let me go ahead and do that. Get in there. GFS is not going to be as high resolution as what we were just looking at, but it shows that through Tuesday, we have the additional cloud cover. There is a chance of a few showers develop, but with Tuesday, temperatures topping out in the low 90s, any showers that develop, we're going to be tracking for the potential of thunderstorm activity. And then by Wednesday, mostly sunny clearing. By Thursday, tons of sunshine. Same on Friday. So the best chance of precipitation is going to be Tuesday. There's a low chance by the time we get to Monday of next week, too. I just don't think it's going to happen. So between now and Sunday at 11 p.m., this specific forecast model shows that a few sprinkles were possible. I think that might have been Sunday during the afternoon and evening hours. I'm not buying that. I think that's too loosey-goosey with the forecast. But when we look at the forecast model that goes quite a bit further, this one reaches out until 5 p.m. Wednesday, and it shows some showers will push through the high desert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange the time frame on here to get us back to Sunday at 5 p.m., and then we could work our way forward. And so Sunday at 5 p.m., it does show a few sprinkles, couple light showers. This is one out of several forecast models. There are just a few that are showing any showers on Sunday, but it's going to be possible. If it happens, it's not going to, I think it's going to evaporate before it reaches the surface. I think it's going to be more virga than anything. And then through Monday, this shows a few showers, especially Monday afternoon, which some of our forecast models weren't hinting at in the slightest. And then it shows a better chance on Tuesday. So most of this that's pushing through with this specific forecast model, which isn't the high resolution one, it's one that's a little bit lower resolution, but it goes out even further. So it's possible that on Monday and Tuesday we catch some showers coming from the west to the east. It's just a lot of the forecast model guidance isn't showing that. Now, wind gusts right now, not bad at all. Going forward, through the next couple of days, it will become breezy at times. Actual wind speeds, more like 2 to 12. What we were looking at before, these are just gusts. Gusts are 5 to 15 miles per hour. Winds, sustained winds, are 2 to 12 miles per hour. And the actual forecast model shows that we are going to get a little breezy at times by this evening. Notice with this graphic, everything to the left of the white line is observed. Everything to the right is forecast. And so going forward, winds could get a little breezy this afternoon coming out of the north. Now, if you're headed out to Munchin Music, it's going to be a lot more pleasant than last week with those warmer temperatures we've had all day. And then by Friday, we're talking 5 to 15 miles per hour gusts up to 20. By Saturday, 5 to 15 miles per hour gusts up to 20. So overall, through the next couple of days, winds aren't going to be too bad, just breezy at times. More of those stronger winds are expected on Sunday than Saturday. So for tonight, 50s and some 40s. By Friday, 80s with some 90s expected. Not everybody reaches into the 90s just yet. That is coming up, though. So your 7-day planner actually shows 80s and then 90s next week. Notice on Monday and Tuesday, I do have that low chance of some showers. We're going to know a lot more once we get to tomorrow, and we can see a little further out. Those models will start to line up with each other. I think the best chance of rain is going to be on Tuesday, but either way, I don't think we're looking at a lot. With roller coaster temperatures staying to near and above average for this time of the year. So your weather headlines for this Thursday, July the 9th, it is peak patio season, and that continues across the high desert. Our summertime warmth stays with us, and there's no rain in sight. Winds will be breezy at times, and as of right now, Central Oregon is bone dry with very little in the way of cloud cover. The closest clouds are over the northeastern corner of the state, but it is Thursday. Thursday means drought monitor. This is what the drought monitor looked like last week, and this is what it looks like this week. That severe drought has expanded, and so has the extreme drought. Everything that you see in red has might have even doubled in size. Hold on, let me go back to that. So the severe drought is most of the Tri-County area, and the extreme drought, it does look like it expanded significantly. So either way, we are in an extreme drought. Looking back at the last month, we've been bone dry. We're more than, we haven't gotten anywhere near what we should have gotten in the last 30 days. And the last 365 days, much the same. So we are well below average this time of the year when it comes to precipitation. The drought is worsening, and that is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.